Oh, no, that is.
There we
How,
are.
how are you? Nice to see you, John. How are you?
I'm excellent. Great to see you again. Sorry, I was trying to hide from you there for a second. I was so
No,
excited because I'm wearing a shirt today.
so do I. That is a long time we don't use shirt, right?
There you go.
Yeah, but in your paradise, it's not the right outfit, right? You don't need a shirt in this paradise.
Yeah, I can hear a little bit of an echo.
I'll try to. I'll take out my. Let me see if it's better without it. Let's see. Is better now?
Perfecto.
Okay, perfecto. Vamos. So nice to talk to you, John. Finally, we could arrange this meeting. We were recently talking to Carl Emerson, who is listening to us. I can see him that he's also attending to this live, and this is also our third live. So it's very important for LuxuryLab Global because one of our missions is to support the local luxury industry. And one of them is the travel. The travel responds for more than, as you know, worldwide. Mexico is out of the 10 most important countries that people travel, luxury travels. I think Mexico is one of the 10, right?
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll be even higher.
Yeah, I hope. But there are a lot of potential for that, so I don't doubt. I am really sure. And one of the places that we know that because of the infrastructure, because of the logistics, because of gastronomy, all of that, I think is what makes Riviera Nayarit, Punta Mita, Four Seasons, one of the best destinations in Mexico for the luxury industry. So could you please tell me how has been this last month? We know that you have been closed, but if you could share a little bit of your and also introduce yourself. If you could please introduce yourself. People have seen you are one of you are the responsible managing director for Season Punta Mita, but we know that you have more responsibilities, right?
Yeah, I have the joy of being a regional vice president with Four Seasons for a number of other properties.
And
I'm
and
still
about
hearing the echo. Can you?
is that better or no? No, is it still? I can try my mic. Let's see if my mic goes. Let's see. Is it better, John? No, is it still
Yeah, there's about a 30-second loop.
delay? There's a
Delay on
delay.
it. Yeah. But I
Okay.
can keep talking. I can talk over any delay.
Well, so if you could please introduce yourself as responsible, because we know that your challenge is much more that only Four Seasons Punta Mita. You have other markets in Latin America, Central America. And also, if you could please share a little bit overview of what's going on around Four Seasons. We saw amazing example. We're going to talk about that later, which is what New York has done. Four Seasons New
Phenomenal.
York, phenomenal. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about
Sure,
Four Seasons Latin America and everything.
sure. And so I'm Jonh O Sullivan, General Manager and Regional Vice President for the Four Seasons in Punta Mita, based out of here. And I look after about 6 other properties, some in Latin America and some in North America itself. And I think that, the last 10 weeks have been very interesting in relation to having to essentially reinvent what we do. And as you mentioned earlier, a fine example of what the Four Seasons New York did in relation to partnering with all the medicals in staff within New York. And what we are trying to do within Punta Mita itself is looking at how we can create our own sanctuary when we reopen on the 1st of July. Essentially, we've looked at every single area of the resort and how do we reinvent it in the post-COVID world. And we're fortunate as a brand is that we've partnered with the Johns Hopkins Medical International, and we're using their protocols in all the locations around the world. And what that does is it allows the people to have the trust, both in Four Seasons and in the protocols that we will be using once we actually reopen. And I think it has allowed us to be able to look at each of the areas of the resort and essentially reinvent them. So, for example, you know, the gym that we used to have before, we are in a situation now where we have 3 gyms in different parts and different locations of the resort to be able to try and ensure that we can do the social distancing while still making people feel that they're going to the oasis that is still Punta Mita. So the danger is, I think, that you know, when people are so focused on what their medical protocols are going to be, that we have to make sure that we are able to create an environment where people feel totally safe, but still are coming back to have some fun and to be able to enjoy Four Seasons, Punta Mita, and Mexico.
Well, very interesting, John, and also talking about all this social responsibility. And before going through business, talking a little bit more about social responsibility. The staff of Four Seasons, how does it, what they are doing right now, or how they are preparing for the return or opening the doors again of Four Seasons Punta Mita? How is this preparation training? How does it work? We know that Four Seasons is one of the most important school in terms of luxury travel hospitality in the world. No better than some Switzerland schools. So if you could please tell us how you prepare your staff for that.
Absolutely. You know, for us, it's about almost reinventing what the business model is and what our protocols are. And so we're bringing back all our staff on June 15th, and we have all our staff will go through essentially a 15-day academy of where we will totally retrain them on all our new protocols, so that when we reopen on the 1st of July, we'll be in a situation of where they will be totally able to look after all the needs and guests needs of our new guests.
And you know that LuxuryLab has been hosted by Four Seasons Miami, then Four Seasons Brazil. We are so proud of that. We know how strict you are and how we share the same values in terms of sustainability, in terms of
Totally.
social responsibility. And we are looking forward for the next LuxuryLab Brazil next year at Four Seasons, the brand new, beautiful Four Seasons São Paulo, which is amazing. But talking about the opening again, welcoming the guests. That what are you expecting? What do you have any dates already? Do you? Are you going to announce any? Is something that we can know by now, or is something we have to wait?
No. The waiting is over. We are going to reopen on the 1st of July, and we already have guests confirmed and arriving on the 1st of July.
Oh, that's very good news, because we know all the protection you are taking care and how important it is. But in the meantime, John, we know that many hotels or many other brands or many other hospitality company has been striving to be in contact with their customers or their public or their target. What does Four Seasons have done in the last years? I saw, as you said, about New York, about the homeless, but I'm talking about your clients, your target, how you have been in touch with them.
Yeah, you know, I'm blessed because, first of all, I'm in Mexico, so I work with the best service people in the universe. And from day one that we closed the resort, we started to consistently and continuously chat with all and connect with all our clients. So we've done, in 9 weeks, we've done 55 cocktail parties on Zoom, making guacamole, taking people on virtual tours of the property. And we have actually partnered with more than 820 clients since we actually closed. So we may have closed the building, but we've never closed our hearts.
Oh,
And
that's
so it's
beautiful.
allowed us to be able to sort of communicate directly with all our clients. And I would say probably 5 hours a day, every day, talking one-to-one with them and talking with the owners of agencies, finding out what their needs are. And based on what their needs are, we've calls. Someone rebooks in the Four Seasons in July, you will also get 20 meters of your own beach. So the fact is, you not only get a room, but you get your own designated space. You get your own designated spaces in our restaurants. Just total reinvention of everything that we do from a product point of view, but through the optic and through the expectations of our guests. And it's interesting, one of the key things that they're looking for is they know that they're going to be okay with Four Seasons. They just want to make sure, as I said earlier, that they're able to have some fun. They're able to come back and have a Four Seasons experience as opposed to being in a sanitarium in Switzerland or on Hotel de Lac, is that they want to be able to feel the Mexican love. And that's really what we've been honing on, and ongoing communication with all our partners and with all our guests.
And John, we also know that you have some surprise for us in terms of the new hotel in Costa Alegre, more to the south, sorry, to close to Colima, the Tamarindos Hotel. So,
Absolutely, it's a masterpiece of a property that we will open, I believe, in probably the third quarter of 2021.
okay.
We already have the general manager in place. We already have the director of engineering, who was actually in Sao Paulo
Oh, really?
as the director of engineering. And it's going to be, I think, one of the most significant Four Seasons properties that we have resort-wise anywhere in the world. Amazing ownership, just incredibly environmentally and eco-friendly, embracing an amazing sanctuary of eco-sanctuary. And we're very, very excited about that. But closer to home in Punta Mita, because I know you love something new,
Yeah.
we're also next door to the Four Seasons in Punta Mita. We have 48 acres of land, and we're about to break ground on creating a new tented camp of where we will have 15 amazing luxury tented camps.
Wow, like glamping or
Yeah,
how the
it will be more than glamping. It will be each of the units will be about 60 square units, each with their own swimming pool, each with and then a jungle pool with views on the ocean, and just creating something that is incredibly eco-friendly and environmentally sensitive, and really broadening the offering of that Four Seasons Punta Mita has. And we will open that in, I would say, Thanksgiving next year.
Oh, okay. So very nice to hear that. I had no idea. Thanks for sharing this amazing surprise with us. And talking about business, John, we know that one of the most important that for the economy of Mexico, tourism, travel is very important. We have heard that most of Mexicans, we will, for the next months, what we can expect is that many people from United States or Canada that have been clients of Punta Mita for many years will reduce the number of foreigners coming to Punta Mita or to Mexico. And most of our market will be Mexicans, which is very interesting because Mexicans during the summer, they try to leave the country, the one that have the high-end luxury travel Mexican customer. So it's very interesting. Do you believe on that? What are your expectations? What are what your bets for the next months in terms of business?
Yeah, it's a really it's a fascinating question. The reality is that I believe that we will have a lot of Mexican guests coming, but I also think that we're going to have a large amount of North American business that will either be traveling by private jet or will be wanting to come and disconnected. So I think you're going to get a lot of North American business.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to find that each hotel is going to look at how they manage their markets in a different way. For us, our whole thing is that we're looking at it, that we're going to be a much more smaller and a much more intimate property. So we have 170 rooms, but essentially we're focusing on the very much the higher end of the market and looking to push for, I would say, 70, 80 rooms at that top end of the market, rather than trying to be all things to all people. Because I think that when all the hotels open, they're going to become very focused on trying to get business at all costs. The danger with that is the fact is that you also can reduce that overall experience. And so what we're focusing on is very much the higher end of the market and making sure that we service the high-end Mexican market and the North American market. There's a huge level, Abe, of frustrated business travelers in North America, and they just want Mexico to open, and they want to get away. And,
I agree.
We're not going to have a political discussion about why they want to get away, but we all know why. And I think that, Mexico is just going to be so much closer than Hawaii, so much, closer than Florence or Europe, which I think is going to be, unfortunately, off limits for a period of time, as is the Far East. And I think that we have an amazing opportunity with the passion, the love, and the products that we have in Mexico to be able to satisfy both the Mexican guests, but also the North American guests who just want to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, in the talk we had with Carl Emerson, who didn't, because the connection was not right.
He's a crazy guy. He's a crazy guy.
Yeah, totally crazy. Don't talk to him.
No, don't talk to him, man.
So Carl and I, we were talking about the same happened in China in terms of the revenge shopping, shopping revenge. So we always spending revenge spending. So I think the travel will be the same. We are locked down on our homes for so many days, so many months. Sometime in some places, we want to go to the beach. We want to be in a place that is safe, that has a good connection, because we need to work. We have been so many times. The business has been jeopardized by all of the COVID-19. So we need to work, but we need to be close to the beach. We don't want to put ourselves in risk. And we really think that though Mexicans, I think, won't be flying outside Mexico, I think most of them will try to find alternatives here. I totally agree. I totally agree with you that, look, Ola from the East Cape of Cabo, love our Punta Mita friends, team powers.
Yeah, there are brothers and sisters up in the beautiful resort up in the East Cape in Cabo. So,
look, okay. So I agree, totally agree with you. I really think, though, are not the what people are saying, but I the forecast that we have seen, I think North Americans, and also we didn't know that all what happened with George Floyd happened right now, so very recently. So all the statistics will change definitely. So the riots, we saw this weekend. We saw also the racism, how a country that had a black president can be racist. One of the best presidents ever, like it was Obama. It's not myself talking, but it's research did that people North American loves loves Obama. So I totally agree with you. And talking more about, I don't know if you mind to talk more about Tamarindo because I'm very curious
Totally.
about that. How many rooms? What? Because you don't only have Tamarindo, you have the Cabo one. Also, in Los Cabos, you have a new Four Seasons, right?
Yeah,
Is
we've
that
an
right?
amazing property in the East Cape, which opened last year and has been phenomenally successful. And we also will be opening our second property in Cabo del Sol, which is another new Four Seasons project that will open at the end of 22. But to your
Wow.
question about Tamarindo, I think what Tamarindo will do that's different from the Cape and it's different from Punta Mita is it truly is a sanctuary. And you have owners who have invested a huge amount of time, effort, and money into creating what will become, I believe, one of our flagship properties globally. It's 140 rooms. We'll have an amazing residential component, which will be Four Seasons branded product, but we'll also have a lot of individual estates that will be owned by people. It's about 5 miles of beach. And I think, to me, when I go down there, and I'm a golfer, unlike Carl, who pretends to be, but
Yeah, his handicap is
yeah, I know.
we
Just
don't
to
care.
be, it's this problem with counting 1, 3, 5. It's a new mechanism,
Amateur, yeah.
but
It's
but
a new mechanism.
amazing golf course down there. 4 different food and beverage concepts. Amazing banqueting, conferences, wedding venue. I think it'll be a huge wedding venue in relation to the local Mexican market and also in relation to the California market. So I think it's going to be absolutely huge. And people will say, what's Four Seasons' commitment to Mexico? We'll have 5 hotels. So we will have more hotels in Mexico than we will have in any other country in the world outside
Wow.
of America. So our commitment is to capitalize on what is the most sacred part of Mexico, which is the culture and the people and just the authenticity that is derived from that each and every day. And when I contact the staff and talk to our warriors, they're ready to come back and do battle in relation to just making the guests happy and making them feel that it's special. And I'm sure, and I know it's something that you and Carl talked about. Punta Mita, the brand, not Four Seasons, is so set up for the future because what people are looking for now are sanctuaries, are safe places that they feel that they are able to relax. They're able to be in a situation of where they can spread out and of where they feel that they can be at one with nature. And there's no other location, honestly, within Mexico that is a setup now for the future, the immediate future, then I believe that Punta Mita is between the St. Regis, between the Four Seasons, between the private villas, the golf courses, all the beach clubs, and everything that Dine has sort of created and slowly made into a masterpiece over the last 20 years. And I feel, having been involved for 8 years in Punta Mita and involved in the other properties, I just feel so blessed to have Dine as our partners because we co-realize dreams together. And dreams are not an event, they're a total journey. And so what they keep on doing and what we keep on doing in partnership together is making Punta Mita the true jewel in the crown, not only in Mexico, but I think in all of the Americas.
I agree. I totally agree how they care about the community, about the nature, about the
Absolutely.
partners, and it's very important. It's so important, and as you said, the culture, the sustainability, everything, social responsibility, some are values that you share, you and Dini, which are so important. We know that Punta Mita is located in Riviera Nayarit, and we also know the Riviera Nayarit is growing really fast with with this amazing airport that you have in Puerto Vallarta. So roads, new roads that you have, that the government has provided. And how do you see this luxury destination the next 5 years, John? How do you perceive it?
I think it's brilliant for Riviera Nayarit to have all the new properties coming in, to have One and Only, to have Auberge, to have the Conrad, and to have the 4 or 5 other brands that are just about to sign contracts. I think competition is incredibly healthy because it helps to naturally segment the marketplace and also puts the pressure on the airport to make sure that we end up having a higher level of air drop into Puerto Vallarta, and the infrastructure that's committed by both in Jalisco, and you see it on the roads from Puerto Vallarta driving down to Tamarindo, all the infrastructure that has been put in on new roads, and also going north, north of Punta Mita. I think we're blessed to be in a situation where we are set up to be the next natural space. I love Cabo, but there's an awful lot of hotels there. I love Cancun, there's an awful lot of hotels there. I love Riviera Nayarit because there's not. And the hotels that are coming crowding on top of each other. That's going to be the separating factor in the years to come that will make Riviera Nayarit, I believe, a much more superior destination to the other locations in Mexico. And that is when Riviera Nayarit will truly come into its own.
Well, one of the things that I love from Four Seasons, when I go to Four Seasons Sao Paulo, is the restaurant. So gastronomy, the food, is something that you are always concerned, and always, like here in Mexico City, you have this amazing restaurant connected to Nayarit food, gastronomy. So can you tell us a little bit about all the gastronomy that you offer, mainly in Punta Mita, I would say?
Yeah, we have a number of signature restaurants, and one of them is our newest restaurant, which is called Dos Catrinas. And I had this dream 5 years ago that I'm tired of going to Mexican hotels and going into an Argentinian steakhouse. If I want an Argentinian steakhouse, I can go to Argentina or go to other restaurants. So we created this concept, which was to go back to each of our chefs and say to them, remember your grandmother, and remember when you used to go and give her a big hug, and then you'd go into the kitchen, and then you'd get that smell, and then you'd see the stove, and then you'd see the pot in the back. I want those recipes. So we've essentially created an authentic Mexican street food restaurant with an amazing bar, which we opened last year, which really focuses on Mexican street food. And then we have Bahia, which is, and we work in partnership with a wonderful Mexican celebrity chef called Richard Sandoval. Mm-hmm. And we work with him in all our food and beverage concepts. So we have an amazing beach restaurant in Bahia, which is just about taking the food from the ocean fresh and cooking it 3 hours later. We don't refrigerate it because it's so fresh. And then we have Aramara, which is a beautiful Asian South American fusion concept. And then, of course, we have Tail of the Whale, which to me has the best fajitas ever, which is over at the golf club itself. And then we have a number on an ongoing basis of pop-up restaurants where we celebrate the skills of our chefs, and then we bring in celebrity chefs for pop-ups. And if you think of what is Punta Mita famous for, gourmet-wise, what Carl created 10 years ago with Golf and Gourmet, and where we celebrate all the chefs of Mexico, of South America, and a couple of crazy people who are Carl's friends who come in for that, is that we celebrate everything that is right for our guests, and to be able to celebrate both the food and the beverage, because beverage is very important,
Yeah.
of Mexico.
Wow, very interesting. Yes, talking about gourmet and golf, we are very excited because Carl, well, we know maybe it's going to be a little bit smaller than other years, but we're going to have it. So we are very excited about that. No doubt it makes the difference for the gastronomy in Mexico to something that, yeah, that Carl has been doing very well in terms of supporting all these amazing chefs. And Sandoval is one of them, of course. So we are very looking forward. So before going to the last question, I would like to open the questions to the audience. I see that you have many fans here. So if anyone wants to do question, I will do another question about the future of, you just told about the Four Seasons that we will have in Mexico. So it's going to be one of the countries with more Four Seasons in the whole world, which is very interesting because Asia is a very important market. We know that Four Seasons is a Canadian brand, so it's an honor to Mexico to host Four Seasons around this para, because we know that also Mexico, we have the Mar de Cortez, we have Caribe, we have Pacific side, which is amazing. We have so many beautiful places to go. And no doubt, Four Seasons is always in the best spot. Even in Mexico City, you found our oasis around here. So
Absolutely.
We are so proud to know this information about the 5 hotels in Mexico. But talking more about business, we understand that Latin America has been facing different challenges in the next years. We know Brazil is the first Four Seasons that you had in Brazil. You didn't have Four Seasons in Brazil before.
No.
Colombia, I think you have 3 or 2 Four Seasons, right? Because Bogota there are 2.
Yeah, 2 amazing properties within Colombia, and we see South America as being a major growth opportunity for us as a brand. And we see, even with the current economic situation that we're in, which we see as being temporary, we will come out of it, and we will continue to grow and develop the brand.
And also you have this amazing, it's not a new product. You had a product like that, like maybe you launched it 4 years ago, the airplane, Four Seasons airplane that goes, and now you have a new jet, right? Something like that.
Yeah, we have a new jet that we were able to design literally to total Four Seasons standards, which we literally redesigned the airplane, and it will be in service and ready to go in 2021, next year.
Oh, okay, good. So all because Four Seasons was growing when all that happened. Four Seasons was growing so fast. We know that you have many new projects, not only in Latin America but worldwide. So did you change? Does Four Seasons change that their investments or their new plans for the next years, or it's still the same? What are the changes that COVID-19 brought to the Four Seasons business strategy? If you can talk about that.
Yeah, of course. We are we're into a very long-term relationship with our owners. We don't own our hotels, we manage them. And so, it's a partnership that we do a huge amount of mutual due diligence on before we come together. And so all the projects that I'm involved in 4 openings at the moment. I'm spending all day with the designers, the architects, on Zoom calls, driving ahead with them. So what's really important about Four Seasons is the quality, the pedigree, and the ability for our partners to have deep pockets, to be able to, navigate and to be able to weather the storm that we're in now. And I think that we will continue to see all the developments that we have planned. And I think we have about 35 in the pipeline globally. What I think will happen is that some of them will take a longer period of time to develop.
Yeah, well, John, I don't know if you would like to send a small message. I think we are all on this lockdown in our homes. So you are in this paradise, like Carl Emerson when he was in his life. We were so jealous. So if you would like to share any for Mexicans or for foreigners that are listening to us, or for colleagues that work with you, any message that we would like to share with them about something positive that you would like to communicate?
Yeah, you know, what I think is all our responsibility in this incredibly challenging time is that the Four Seasons has the golden rule, and that's to treat others as they wish to be treated. And I just think, you know, with what's happening in the world at the moment, and specifically in America, it's incredibly important for all of us to acknowledge that we are responsible and we have a responsibility to ensure that any form of racism, any form of discrimination against another human being is simply not allowed, is not tolerated. And anything that ever happens like that, we cannot say that because our skin color is different, that we have to treat others in a different way. The world is changing, and we need to be the changing agents within the world to be able to rid ourselves of racism and of where people are not treated in the appropriate way. And it's not that because it's a government's responsibility or it's a local person's responsibility. It is all our responsibilities to rid ourselves of the cancer of bigotry, of racism, and of where we allow other people to be treated in a subhuman way. That's my message.
Wow, that was wonderful. Wow, everybody's saying beautiful. It's very touching, and it's totally something that we need to hear. We need to do. It depends on us. Don't depend on others. It depends on us. Let's do the change. Let's make the
We have to
change.
be. We have to be the change. We have to be the change. You know, I'm Irish, so by nationality, I am naive, and I believe that the human race has the ability to be so much more superior to the way that we act at times, and we must be the people to be the change. I'm not relying on anyone else. I can only rely on me.
Sorry, there is a question from Esteban. Nowadays, that a lot of people are concerned about safety and health measures. Can you mention a couple of actions Four Seasons will do to guarantee this to your customers?
Yeah, and it's a beautiful question. And essentially, as I mentioned, you know, earlier, we're partnering with the Johns Hopkins Medical International, and so we are taking all their protocols from a safety point of view, from a hygiene point of view, and incorporating it into all the procedures and protocols that we will have when guests come to the resort, which will include, you know, each guest having their temperature taken, each staff member having their temperature taken on a daily basis when they come to work. You know, all the social distancing, but also, as I mentioned earlier, not turning the resort into a sanitarium. And so, if we have a spa, we can't do treatments with them initially, but we can do Tibetan sound healing. We can do yoga on the rock. We can have new walks in the resort. We can do Reiki. We can do craniosacral. We can do an amazing range of treatments that will make people feel, wow, thank God I'm in Four Seasons Punta Mita. If I think of the gym, we're going to create 3 gyms, our existing one and 2 of them outside, so that people will have the space to be able to just relax
Workout.
and be able to do what we need to do to bring people back. We have 1.5 kilometers, we have a mile of beach. We will give each guest, as I say, 20, 30 meters of their own beach for when they physically arrive, their own space within the restaurant, and whatever we can do to make that amazing, whilst ensuring we adhere to those protocols, but more importantly, or as importantly, we ensure that we show the Mexican love so that people go, oh my God, this is what I've missed. They're getting on their phone, talking to their other friends and saying, get down here. And that's what we've got to do. And this isn't an advert for Four Seasons. This is a dream sharing for Punta Mita, as in the brand. And what we want to do is that wherever you go to, whether you stay in St. Regis, Four Seasons, private villa, we just want you not to be robbed of the greatest paradise that probably exists, and to get people down here and to sort of see and feel it.
Well, John, I just have to say thank you and congratulations all you have done and the way you have managed all the COVID-19 and now all the news that we have been facing with the death of Floyd. And it's no doubt it will help all of us to make the difference and to be better humans, like one of your fans here said. And we are so glad about having people leading hotels like Four Seasons like you are. So congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you, and thank you for having me share with you. God bless.
Looking forward. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.